Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the New College of Florida, the New Music Salon featuring the James Varnado Quartet. We're so glad that you are all here with us this afternoon, this evening. My name is Mark Dancigers. I'm the Director of New Music New College and professor here at the New College of Florida. And it's my pleasure to be able to share these events with all of you, with the Sarasota community, and with our students, faculty, and staff. I'd also like to welcome those audience members who are joining us online for tonight's live stream on YouTube. So thank you to those who are tuning in online. I'd like to begin with just a couple of thanks to the many people who helped to make these events possible. Thank you to Provost Suzanne Sherman, to President Oker. Thank you for encouraging us to present these events. I'd also like to thank the dedicated staff of the Office of Communications and Marketing. Thank you very much also to Jeff Thomas and his crew in campus space scheduling. Jeff helps us open these spaces up and make them available for events and all of us. Thank you very much to Physical Plant for their assistance. Thanks to the New College Foundation, who helps us with everything from managing tickets to getting communications out about our events. Thank you very much for all of that assistance and work to the foundation. Thank you, Daniel Hernandez, in the Office of the Division of Humanities. Robert Constant in IT has been instrumental in helping us set up the live stream for our events. Thank you to our photographer, Nancy Nassif. We have catering this evening, and that is provided by Met's Culinary Management. So big thank you to Met's, and I hope that everyone takes a moment after the show to enjoy some refreshment and have a chance to socialize and talk with each other. Finally, I'd also like to give a huge thank you and a round of applause to our fantastic producer, Ron Silver. This season is paid for in part by Sarasota County Tourist Development Tax revenues. The season is sponsored in part by the state of Florida, the Department of State Division of Arts and Culture, and the Florida Council on Arts and Culture. So we're very grateful for that support of our series. Support for our season is also provided by a grant from the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation. We're extremely grateful for that continuing support as well. I'd also like to thank our donors to the series at every level. We have several donors who make large contributions. We have many donors who make contributions of all different sizes. Every bit helps, and every single bit of financial support for our series is appreciated. And we'd like to say thank you to all of you who have done that over the years. And also, thank you for being here. You, as audience members, are the reason that we do this, and we bring people together over new musical experiences. So tonight's event is a salon. The format of our salon is that we'll have a concert that's followed by some conversation on stage about musical and artistic practice. There's three themes to the salons that we're hosting this fall. The first theme is that we're emphasizing, celebrating, and highlighting local musicians here in Sarasota who are doing innovative and inspiring things. The second theme of our salons is that we are exploring intersections between the world of new music, traditionally understood, and other genres. I'm going to come back to that in just a moment. And the third theme is that we are exploring conversations about artistic practice and what life is like as a musician. What are some of the daily habits? What are some of the problem-solving strategies, goals, mindsets, all kinds of things related to being a musician and sharing that perspective with all of you. I want to say a word about our guest tonight. So James Varnado is a drum set player who was born in Louisiana, began playing drums in the Baptist church, and has gone on to tour all over the country and all over the world. I was talking with James before the concert tonight, and he mentioned that it's over 19 international tours that he's performed on, taking him to countries in South America, Europe, including Austria, Switzerland, Holland, Belgium, Poland, Brazil, Spain, France, Germany, and I could go on. James has appeared on bills with some musicians who have kind of reached the heights of their fields, including Carlos Santana, B.B. King, Peter Frampton. And he also has played with local groups here in town. What's fascinating as well is that James runs open musical jam sessions where you can go and sit in. And in fact, he runs one in the Village of the Arts in Bradenton at a restaurant called Cottonmouth. And it's an amazing, wonderful event. I was there the other night. I got to sit in and play, and that was a real treat for me as a guitarist. But it's really amazing what James has done, both as a drum set player and as someone who has built musical community around coming together and having musical experiences that are open to people from all over. So it's really a pleasure to be able to present James tonight. I'd also like to note that tonight you're going to hear some jazz, you're going to hear some funk, and this, of course, is a new music series. So one of the interesting things that we've observed in the past couple of years is a number of festivals around the country are putting new music concerts back to back with concerts that feature music that sort of lives in slightly different genre worlds. One festival that does this is called Big Ears in Tennessee. There's another one called the Ecstatic Music Festival that happens regularly in New York. Even the Pulitzer Prizes have recognized music from a multitude of genres now. And so one of the common threads between new music and jazz and funk and the world of music that we're going to explore tonight is improvisation, making music in the moment. This is something that we find across a number of musical styles, and in some ways is a kind of a common practice, a common activity that we see all kinds of musicians engaging in many, many different ways. So we're in for a treat tonight. I hope that you really enjoy tonight's concert, and please join me in welcoming to the stage James Varnado.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so precious about that day, and even your emotions have an echo with so much space. Oh, baby, no. When you're out there without care, yeah, I was out of touch. But it wasn't because I didn't know enough. Yeah. Just knew too much. Whoa. Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Possibly. And I hope that you are having a time of your life. Well, think twice, no. That's my only advice. Oh, baby, no. Ever since I was little, it looked like fun. But there was no coincidence I've come to know. And I can die when I'm done. Oh, baby, no. Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? No. Possibly. Ooh. There'll be many other songs to sing, another fall, another spring, but there will never be another you. Oh, do-do-da, do-do-do-do-do-da, bum-boo-boo-da, zee-do-do-do-do-do-da. Hide your heart from sight, like your dreams at night. It could happen to you. Don't count stars or you might stumble. So don't want drops of sighing down. You tumble. Keep an eye on spring. Run when church bells ring. All it could happen to you. So all I did was wonder how your heart would be. And it happened to me. To me. Hide your heart from sight. other nights like this, and I'll be standing here with someone new. There will be other songs to sing, another fall, another spring, but there will never be another you. There will be other lips that I may kiss, but they won't thrill me like yours used to do. Oh, I may dream a million dreams, but how can they come true if there will never ever be another you? I'm no good without you, no. Take my lid, one, two, slow down. Take my arms, I never used them, no. Your lips goodbye left me with eyes that cry. Tell me, how can I go on, dear, without you? Yes, I may dream a million dreams, but how can they come true if there will never ever be another you? If there will never ever be another you? If there will never ever be, there will never ever be another you. If there will never ever be another you, there will be many other nights like this. There will be many other nights. Oh, it come true. There will never, never, never be another you. There will never, 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 there will never be. No, there will never, there will never, there will never be.
Thank you. Thank you, New College. How y'all doing? That's New Orleans for how are you? First and foremost, all praise to my Father Christ Jesus for us being alive and well here today. I had to do that first. And let me introduce my band to you. On xylophone, from Louisville, Kentucky, Mr. Eric Zaballo. This kid on bass right here, I had him since he was 16 years old. From Munich, Germany, Mr. Jack Berry. And we have a lady in our band. This is the first lady in our band. I call her Nana. She used to come to my open jam when I first had it over at Burns Court. And she is from Sweden. Her name is Naima Barak. And on keyboard, my main man.
I'm from Colombia.
These kids today, man. On keyboards, from Stuttgart, Germany, Mr. Sergei Gluzhenkov. And my name is James. It's good to be here. It's really good to be here. I want to give a round of applause to Mark and Mr. Ron Silver for having us here. Mark Dancigers and Ron Silver. Thank you so much for bringing us here. Are there any of my students out there? Stand up. That is Jake Nicholson, y'all. I call him the mayor of Pineview High School. He's the mayor in the house. Yes, indeed. I think there's going to be a question and answer period or something like that. Where's Mark?
I want to know if Jason's coming to New College next year.
Who?
I want to know if Jason's coming to New College.
Jake? Yes, he is. Done deal. That's that.
All right, so how about one more round of applause for our amazing band? So I'm going to bring out some chairs, and we can sit and talk a little bit about musicianship, practicing music, that world of topics. So we're going to bring some chairs down and start a conversation. So this is part of what makes it a salon, is that it's a little bit informal here.
I have a question.
A question.
Can I just ask questions?
Well, you are welcome to ask a question. Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is a instrument question about brushes. I have a friend who's learning to play with brushes, and she's constantly complaining about how loud they are. And then I listen to you play, and you can make them, you can make them so soft.
Tell her to sign up for my private lessons class.
So,
And we will fix all that.
yeah. So,
Amen.
so yeah. By the way, yeah. We will welcome questions from the audience, and I'm going to repeat your question for the audience that's tuning in on the live stream. So the question was about brush technique and how do you create a kind of a soft sort of sound, and it sounds like the answer is lessons.
Okay, yeah. And besides that, understand that a brush is not a stick. And if I had one, I could, why not? All right. If I'm playing with a stick I have this motion going, a traditional grip, this motion. But when you're playing with brushes, there's a sweep motion going. And see, the older guys like Philly Joe Jones and Joe Jones from the Count Basie era, those are guys you got to check out because they're not hitting it like, if you strike it like that, it's the sound you're going to get. Yeah. You can get almost a stick sound out of a brush if you hit it like that. But if you're sweeping, for instance, on a ballad, if she was singing a ballad, I wouldn't even do this much. It would be like this, a figure 8. And everything you hear is going this way. It's nothing coming like that. That makes the hard sound like that. She's probably tried to play it the same way it sticks.
Yeah, so that's great. So I wanted to also just kind of start us off by talking about, because we're talking about technique and how you work on your instrument playing. I'm wondering if we could hear from all the members of the band here about your practice routine. Do you have a practice routine that you always follow? Is it different depending on what you've got coming up? Describe for us what it's like when you sit down in a dedicated time and say, this is time that I'm going to spend working on music. What are some of the things that you do when you have that time? And happy to take anyone from the band on that question.
You want to go first, James? Well, when I practice on the bass, or I also play electric bass, and I've been playing the banjo lately too. I just like to listen to music and listen to all sorts of genres and hear what some of the people who I admire play, and then I try to do it on my own instrument. So one of the bass players I really like is named Charlie Hayden. He worked with Ornette Coleman and Keith Jarrett, and I think he just passed away a few years ago, but his technique is one that I really look up to and try to emulate, because he fit in well with a bunch of different styles, and that's kind of the versatility that I'm going for too.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know. I kind of each week I write down a thing, write down stuff. I try to do a little bit of everything every day. Like even if it's like 5 minutes of like scale, probably like I don't know, new scale. Let's do it for like 5 minutes every day. I'm kind of like more traditionally minded, and I don't know. I haven't really. The past few weeks have been a little bad in regards to that, but I think that's kind of my mantra, is to just try to do something consistently. And it doesn't have to be like hours a day. It can literally be like 5 minutes, but you do that every day for like a month, or maybe, pretty much every day for a month. And I mean, it will build up. So, I mean, just in a nutshell, I think that's, yeah.
Yeah, great.
Well, kind of finding what you want to play first is a good step, I think, because what we listen to is what inspires us, and then you want to sound like what you're listening to, from Ornette Coleman to some of the modern greats. Like my inspiration is Robert Glasper. I've been in love for the last, I don't know, few years or so, basically, it's like figuring out, okay, what are they doing that works for them, and how can I do it to make it work for me? And essentially from there, it kind of bleeds into everything else you do, and finds its way into other tunes, whether you go backwards in genres and styles, or whether you're pushing it forward. But again, listening, and when you're done listening, listen more, and then you wait for the text from James Varnado, and he's gonna tell you what else to listen to.
Oh, man. Well, as with everything, I'm a man of faith, therefore I pray to the Father about everything, and I mean everything. It includes practice. And one of the things that he gave me is very abstract. I'll sit on the floor. To me, this is a bass drum. And when you can get a sound out of this, you can definitely do it on a drum kit, because there's a foot pedal that aids you on the drum kit. You don't have to work as hard. And also what he showed me is I practice on pillows. I'll take a pillow and put it right here. And a pillow gives you absolutely zero rebound. Therefore, you have to work hard, really hard. So by the time I get on a drum kit, it's all go. Because I've been playing on the pillow, holding myself. It's like running in quicksand. I've been playing on the pillow for hours, and also on the floor, which gives you absolutely nothing. And also, what you can do, this is also very abstract, and I teach my students this, right, Jake? That if you play along with a Beatles record, I don't care what you play along with, you can swing along to one of their songs. This is real abstract. For instance, if they're singing whatever they're singing, I'm just using them as an example. A lot of people like them. I don't care what song it is. If it's in 4/4 and they're singing along, you can play a samba to that. I don't care what they're doing. You play the samba against it. That way you can listen to your favorite music, because jazz can run you crazy sometimes. You know, there's the saxophone player wailing. The bass player is the only sane guy in the band because he's holding the whole thing down. Everybody's rolling, and you trying to listen. What is the drummer doing? You can't tell because everybody's going. So I put that on at the end when I'm ready to go across the top. So I don't play jazz nonstop. My wife says I do. She'll differ on that. Ride down the street, I got nothing but Branford Marsalis blasting all day long. So yeah, I get it. But you don't have to practice to jazz all the time. You can play anything you want, play jazz rhythms to that. So when you get with an upright bassist, you can fit into what he or she is doing. And that's your best friend as a drummer. Whoever's playing bass, he or she is on bass, this is your best friend right here. This is why I put this kid right next to me. I don't lock in with Naima, I don't lock in with Sergey, I don't lock in with, no way. I lock in with the bass player, and all these people fit on top. You understand? Thank you.
So, all right, and one more question for anybody in the band here. When you're working on a passage, it's a really challenging passage, let's say. What do? What's your strategy? You're working on something, it's challenging you, you're not quite getting there, you're maybe going back to it over a number of days, or you got to walk away, come back. What's your strategy for working on something that's really pushing you as a musician? How do you go about that?
You text James Varnado. I mean, I think we all come to that bridge where it's like, there's like that break where you can't push it and you don't know why. And I think for everybody it's a different level. Every musician's been there in one way or another. Helps when you have friends. I wasn't kidding about James Varnado. You literally start calling people that know more than you do, and there's always somebody that does. And so you find answers from people that have done it before, plow through it. If you can't, again, take a break, revisit later, or ask James to pick a different tune.
Welcome. Hello. How are we doing? So the voice is a little different in terms of, because it has a lot to, everything has to do with your physical, right? But the voice has a lot to do with your physical health. So there's a lot of, you have to make sure that the mind, the body, and the soul, everything has to be aligned, in alignment. So I do a lot of like meditation before I perform. I do a lot of meditation before I practice. I like to do something a little bit similar to what you were saying with the pillows, where I run on the treadmill and I sing at the same time, and then that helps me get my cardio, my stamina, and build up that breath support that you need for singing, because singing is very breath oriented, right? There's breathing with here, like breathing from your lungs, and then there's diaphragmatic breathing. That's the breathing that you use when you sing. So in order to build that, you need to make sure your lungs are healthy. You need to make sure as a vocalist you're not seeing any bars where there's smoking in your face, because that's happened to me a lot. Like cigar bars, jazz people, they really don't care, but it's okay. I mean, we still pace through that, right? But just making sure that your health is at tip top. Warming up, I'd say like getting with the teacher is really important to try to figure out like the vocal anatomy. There's a lot of parts. There's a soft palate. There's the tongue. The tongue needs to be relaxed. The jaw everything needs to be relaxed. And that's something I struggle with because I have a lot of anxiety. So I dealt with a lot of tongue tension in the beginning. I've dealt with a lot of jaw tension, a lot of jaw locking. Some of the things that I do is I sleep with a humidifier, and that helps me get my airways, my sinuses ready. And once I know that my sinuses are all cleared up, and I've done my treadmill running, then I know I'm ready to sing. And that's how it works. That's how it works. But it's all a health thing first, health-based for me at least.
Thank you. So thank you all so much for those wonderful answers. Are there maybe one or two questions from the audience we could take? Yes. Yeah.
So I want to know who you're following in Louisiana. What music are you following there?
So yeah. So the question is there music in Louisiana that you're following right now?
You mean new artists or people from a long time ago? I'm good friends with the boys from Galactic. The drummer Stanton is a good friend of mine. George Porter from the Meters is my musical dad. I played with him for a long time.
Wow.
Yes. And I played with Charmaine Neville from the Neville Brothers family. Oh my gosh. John Cleary from the was it Bonnie Raitt? I think he plays with. He called me one Mardi Gras, which is no way to park in New Orleans on Mardi Gras Day. He calls me and said, "Look, kid, I need you to be here in a couple of hours." I didn't know any of the music. I just showed up. And this is why I tell my students, you don't play drums with your hands, you play with your ears. You go in there and listen to what's going on around you. You get your drum solo later on, maybe not at all. That's not what you're there for. No one cares how fast I am. Nobody cares about that. So I went in there and I played, and before you know it, my name got spread around, and Charmaine never called me. She said, "I'm going to Austria. Do you want to go?" I said, "Yeah, I want to go." Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go. And it just snowballed after that. And praise be to God, first and foremost, people started calling me, saying we have a tour to Paris. We have, Brazil's my favorite place that I went to. I was on a plane going to Sao Paulo right after that. It just snowballs. And so I would be here all day if I named all of the people I know in New Orleans. It's a lot of them, and they're really, really talented. And we all have the same accent.
Okay, great. Yes, question.
Not so musically inclined, but as you look back, when did you first start and when did you get, I'm going to use a funny expression, the calling. When did you know definitively this is it, I'm moving, pushing other stuff to the side? But how did you start in high school? You had a drum set as a kid. How did you get started? And how did you get that, this is it, and you just took off?
Okay.
Yeah, so the question is, how did James get started as a drummer, and then how did he know that this was sort of his calling?
This is what I wanted to do from day one. And I grew up with my grandmother. I'm a grandmother's baby, and she had a rule. She said, if you play in church, I'll get you a drum kit. I'm not joking. If she was here right now, she'd verify that. And I said, okay. I didn't know that she was teaching me who God was. I thought I was just getting a drum set. But being that she was way smarter than I was, she showed me who the Father was. All I had to do was play a drum kit. So it started there, and then this is the truth. I used to play on back then when I was coming through in the 90s, they had these mirrors in the desk. The desk was right here, so you could see yourself in the mirror. So what I would do is I would do this right here in the mirror so I could see myself like that. And it beat a big dent in my grandmother's dresser. And I don't know how y'all grew up, but you don't do that with my grandmother, man. I'm just telling you the truth. So she said, before I hurt you, I'm gonna go ahead and get you a drum kit before it gets bad in here for you. And she was serious. So I got a drum kit. I stopped beating on my mother's furniture, and then I tried out for the world famous Southern University marching band in Baton Rouge. Very prestigious, played for presidents' inaugurations, that kind of thing. And it went from there, and I was always playing in church. I used to be in church 3 times at different churches on Sundays. I knew all the pastors because I played at all of the churches. And so one day, I just decided, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. And believe it or not, it was a shock to everybody last name Varnado. I said, how y'all didn't see this coming? If I'd have told you I wanted to be a pilot, then you should have a look on your face, but I've been doing this since day one. And they kind of came against me. I'm gonna just tell you, to be honest with you, the family members came against me. They said, this is not a real job. Look at your friends who, one of them was working at the fire department. One of my boys would come in with his J.C. Penney suit on, and they would say things like, why you can't be like him? And I would say, why they can't be like me? So finally one day I came home and I told my grandmother, I said, Mom, I called her Mom because that's all the mother I knew. I called her Mama, and I said, I am going to Paris. And she said, how you gonna get to Paris? I said, well, they're gonna fly me. So I was just telling the story a minute ago to the guys. She says, when we go to church, we're gonna raise some money to get you a plane ticket. She didn't understand. I said, Mom, they're going to pay for me to go and pay me when I get there. And explaining that to old school people from Mississippi. I'm from New Orleans, but they are from Mississippi. They wasn't trying to hear that. They how you gonna be the only one in the family flying everywhere? We don't understand. So I had to show them. So after I came from Paris, I went directly to Brazil. And then that New Orleans thing started flipping. I went to Austria, Germany, Switzerland with Charmaine Neville, and I never stayed home after that. And sometimes you just have to show people, especially when people you love and look up to, they didn't say that I wasn't good enough. They just never seen nobody in our family do that before. But I was seeing it all the time around me. And I made up my mind right then and there, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to fail or succeed at playing drums, one way or the other.
I love that. I love that you didn't. I'm sorry. Can I intervene a second?
Please.
I love that you didn't have a plan B. You know, because you were just there was no plan B. It was just that, and he was gonna be good at it. You know, and I love that. You know, ever since I started playing around here, because I'm not from here, I kind of moved around a lot. And I went to James's Jam for the first time at Burns Court. You know, I met some great people there, some great kids from State College of Florida, and I managed to kind of gather up a band with them, a jazz band. And if it weren't for James and his jam and bringing young jazz and all kinds of genres, all kinds of musicians from all kinds of genres together in that little place, I mean, then a lot of relationships, friendships, and bonds would probably never have been started. So I'm very thankful to have met you, and I love that you push young artists to do what they love, and there's always a word of hope and love and a good energy around you, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, I can trace almost everything I'm doing now back to James inviting me out to jam sessions and meeting people, like the snowball thing that he was talking about.
I think we have time for like one more question. There's a few. So if you have questions and we don't get to it, there's a reception in the lobby following the official close of the event. So go and grab some refreshment, and the musicians will be in the lobby, and we can continue the conversation there too. But it's one more question. One more question. Yes, go ahead.
James, we heard how you picked your discipline. I'd like to hear how each of the other artists picked their discipline. I grew up playing the saxophone, and it was never pretty like you guys do it. So I'd like to hear how everyone picked their discipline.
Yeah, so the question is, how did everyone come across their instrument and what it is that they do?
Man, I'm still learning. I mean, this instrument, I started on like orchestral percussion in college, and that's what I got my degree in. And it was my last year I really got into jazz and playing vibraphone. I've really only been playing that seriously for maybe 2 years, 2.5 years. So I mean, well, I don't mean to say that. Wow, look how good because I mean, there is a long way to go. But no, it's just like, what was I gonna say? No, it's just, you know, I guess I chose it because it was kind of right at the beginning of the pandemic. I got a set in my room, and you know, what else was there to do? It was my last semester of college. I'm like, well, I'm just gonna practice, and like, no, and I really got into like transcribe it, like I really listening to music, and I'm like, you know, I like playing an orchestra and stuff, and playing timpani, like all that other percussion. But, you know, I think this is, like, really what I want to do, and it's what I always listen to. And so I'm just still learning. I don't know. I don't feel qualified to talk about this. But, yeah, so I don't know. Yep, that's me.
For me, at my middle school, they were doing this thing where you could get out of PE if you took the music class instead. So I joined the orchestra, and I started playing cello there. And then in high school at Pineview, I joined Mr. Mongillo's class to play in the big band, and that's when I started playing upright bass and learning more about jazz. And then I heard the Beatles and Frank Zappa, and I got into like rock and roll and started playing electric bass. And some of my friends who had been going to jams invited me out one time, and that's where I met James at a jam session. And James kind of introduced me to like playing professionally. Like before it was just for fun and with friends, but I realized like you can work and you can play and you can have fun and you can go around the world too, because people around everywhere like to hear music. So.
Well, for me, it was a very spontaneous thing, but not really. I grew up in a musical family. My parents are jazz musicians. They also studied classical music. My father plays the guitar. My mom plays bass, and my sister sings. So when I was born, I was surprised, by the way. My parents are much older, and they weren't expecting me. And one day, I was like about 3 years old, and I was taking a shower, and it was Mother's Day, and I was like, Mom, Dad, I'm ready, and we're gonna go to the church today, and I'm gonna sing in that Mother's Day special. And my dad was like, okay. My parents were worship leaders, so they had like a little bit of authority, so they could do that, just pull me in the last minute, right? But I went to the back, I learned the song in like an hour, and I came out there and I was just singing in Spanish. I'm from Colombia. And yeah, that's how I started. It was the church specials, the Mother's Day, the Christmas special, all those specials. That's how I started. And after that, I started listening to Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday, and all the great singers. Of course, Ella Fitzgerald, Etta James, some of my favorites, Beyonce, to name the least. But yeah, I love any style, all styles, singing in Spanish, bossa novas, everything. I mean, it's just something that it's the only place that I feel safe. Music is the only thing that has kept me going. It's the only thing that keeps me inspired. It's the only thing that calms me down when I'm too anxious, when I feel sad. Writing and music is what I'm here for, and I hope to inspire people with what I can provide for you in terms of inspiration and just a good time and good energy.
So Eric was like, "Yeah, there's room to go." I'm the baby here. I'm just fortunate to play with these people, but like I'm by no means a performing musician. What I do all day long is boss 5-year-olds around. That's my thing. In fact, some of them are right here, boys. Wave hi. There you go. See, I brought witnesses. I had Leo for class today. He did not get in trouble. So, it's kind of a delicate balance between, doing Twinkle Little Star and then there's James. But the beginning of it all, I mean, started back in the old country. I was born and raised in the country that doesn't exist anymore. It's a former Soviet Union thing. And of course, everybody played piano, violin, or else. So I was the piano. And what kid does not like sitting there all day long, practicing piano alone, while all the friends are hanging outside, I hated that thing, I really did. I mean, my parents pushed me hard, but I could not stand that instrument, or any instrument. It's just pure luck that my piano was a perfect step flat from the concert pitch, and a neighbor happened to have a trumpet. And what we realized is when he played C and I played C, it was actually the same note, which normally, for those of you who are musically savvy, that's not usually the case, but with my out-of-tune piano it was. And so we quickly realized that we no longer have to play alone, him in his apartment, me in my apartment, and suddenly it became a beautiful thing where music is no longer a loneliness, but now suddenly it's a gift you share with everybody. And that's when it sparked. And from then on, it went into pops orchestras and pop bands and whatever else. And of course, coming to the new world here, that was quite a revelation of things and styles and things that we have here that other places don't. And so, and jazz is truly the number one gift this country has given the world. So I know there's democracy, but Greeks got dibs on that. But as far as like modern gift to the world, that would be jazz music. It's made in America, exported everywhere, kind of thing. And so when I say jazz, it's an infinity of things that are included. It's not just that, you know what I mean? Like it's a lot. Modern day hip hop, that's jazz music. Good hip hop, anyways. There is so much more, and so coming here, I was kind of looking for those opportunities. So I ended up playing timpani for a while. I know Eric is like looking at me judgmentally, but well, because when you come to a high school band director and you say I want to play, he goes, here's a pair of sticks, because you know. So I coasted through that for a little while until I ended up at State College of Florida. At that time, it was MCC, and we had wonderful friendships with so many talented people there, just like you do right now with so many greats there. And between faculty, students, and the community, that is right where we are. You know, it's the best place to be, and that's where music, you know, blossoms. Thanks to new college and establishments as such, you know, thanks to local venues that host all musicians and events, such as Cottonmouth that was mentioned earlier, and beyond that. But of course, the center of it all is the immense talent that is James Varnado. So, so I guess to make my speech a little shorter, everybody from everywhere eventually ends up in one place, and that place they tend to gravitate to is that, you know, like you mentioned, the zone of comfort, the place where you're happy, the things that make you come back again, and the people you want to be surrounded with. So,
All right. Thank you all so much again for coming tonight. Please join us in the lobby where there's a reception, and we hope to see you again soon. Thank you again.
Come to the Cottonmouth on Sundays for the open jam, 5 to 8.
Yes.
There's the
yes.
owner right here, Mr. Dave Shipley. Stand up, Dave. The owner of the
Dave.
Cottonmouth right here.
Woo!
5 to 8 on Sundays.
Happy Halloween.
Good food, too.